part of Laker Nation. Melo signed a one-year free agent deal with the Lakers, joining, of course, his longtime friend LeBron James in the purple and gold. And yesterday, he talked about how it all came together. Take a listen.
You know, I was with Bron a couple of times, and I'm sure everybody thought we was talking about it, but we never had no conversation about it. You know, it's Bron came to me one time and just said, yo, the time is now. Like, I want you. We got to make this happen. And, you know, I took that information and took that, that dialogue and took my time with it. I mean, most people would say we should have got together years ago or early in our career, but we was in two different lanes. We was in two different paths. We was on two different paths. And, everything come full circle.
All right, so Stephen A. Melo says this was just the right time for it. Do you think this is the right roster for it, though? Do you think that this team, as it's constructed, can win a championship?
I think they could. I wouldn't say they're my favorites. I'm still going to go with Brooklyn. But when you acquire Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn, Wayne Ellington, and Carmelo Anthony to pair with the big three, I don't have a problem with that. That's a team that can win the championship. Obviously, I'm going to still give a team like Brooklyn an edge, but I'm not going to look at the Los Angeles Lakers and say I definitively see a team in the Western Conference that can knock them off or that there's no way in hell they can win a championship. I certainly wouldn't say that.
Well, I just feel like they're built for the postseason, right? And when you look at a team like the Los Angeles Lakers with the veteran leadership, you got guys like Trevor Ariza, LeBron James, Dwight Howard that knows what it takes. And when you have a group of veterans that join together collectively, the word sacrifice comes to mind. And each one of those guys know that they have one goal, and that's to win the championship. And in the 7-game series, you have 4 guys that are capable of going for 30-plus, meaning carrying the load. That includes LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and even Melo. And the reason that the time is now is because Melo finally has embraced the role of being who he is at this stage of his career. And that's a guy that comes in off the bench and be a spark, a 6-man type guy that's going to give 15, 16 points.
Signing of Carmelo Anthony, he is expected to be introduced in a press conference later today. So, Kendrick, what do you think Melo's impact with the Lakers will be, joining LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook as well?
It's going to be everything, for the simple fact that Melo has found himself, meaning his new role. He understands that he's not a franchise guy no more. We saw that in Portland. He's going to be to the Lakers what they expected Kyle Kuzma to be. And that's a guy to come in off the bench and give them 15 to 16 points a night, or even more if he gets hot, which we know Melo could do, because Melo is a hooper. You could drop him off anywhere in America, he's going to get buckets. He's going to get buckets probably till he's the age of 65.
Okay, well, there's Melo then, but Monica, there's the whole roster. So how do you see all the pieces fitting together? Look at that face. That face is not a happy face.
Listen, I agree that Melo understands his role. He's going to understand the assignment, okay? But I don't think that's enough to get this team over the hump. When you look, Russell Westbrook's statistical best year was back in the 2016-2017 season. LeBron averaged a double-double last season, but that was the first time he'd done that. So you argue that he didn't even that formula for him has not equated to necessary success, right? Mm-hmm. And then Melo, who I love, I want Melo to get a ring. The durability of this team continues to be a question, especially when your young stud who's supposed to lead the way has never played an 82-game season. Now, he did get to 75 3 times, but still, I think Melo's going to be great, but I don't know that impact is going to be get this team over the hump. They got a few more humps to clear that have nothing to do with Melo in my mind.
Well, look, one thing about it is that all this team has to do is get to the playoffs.
I don't know.
Let me tell you why. Sit back and just listen for a second,
right.
Monica. I know you have concerns.
Let me listen.
But I don't, because here's why. One thing we know, when you get a group of guys like this, right, that know that they want to accomplish winning the championship. Like, I was on the 2010 Boston Celtics. Well, we pretty much had an old team. When you come together collectively and you know that you're old, we had Rasheed Wallace. He had a bad back. Although we didn't win, we had Kevin Garnett. Like, those guys were getting up in age. But when you have that mindset of putting your pride aside and doing what's best for the team, like maybe LeBron James playing the power forward position, Anthony Davis playing the 5, Dwight Howard still could jump out of the gym. And I think people don't give Russell Westbrook enough credit for his decision-making. This is a guy that led the NBA last year in assists. He led it in assists with a lot of G League guys around him.
Perk, I hear you. I think you're probably not wrong in that assessment. In fact, a recent conversation I was having compared this group to the 04 Lakers. They got there and couldn't clear it, right? I just think the West is not waiting.
With that 04 Lakers team.
Okay, let's just go to the age of the basketball part. Let's just keep it real simple. The West is not waiting. Like, I just don't see where there's enough room.
Don't you? First of all, don't give me all this.
I'm pleading. I'm not snapping.
Listen, because I'm telling you this, all right? One thing about it that we fail to realize is that the most important piece is Anthony Davis.
Who can't stay healthy.
Okay, but when he is healthy, he dominated in great fashion. Did he not deliver a championship?
Yes.
Okay,
there is more of a risk that he's not healthy. There have been seasons he's been healthy, and you just identified some of them.
Okay.
It's just a risk. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes he's had some bad luck.
Do y'all have, so who, in the 7-game series, you name me one team that could beat the Lakers?
I think, okay, that's a little tough. I think the Warriors are reloading, and I think the Utah Jazz are going to have that similar experience to what the Milwaukee Bucks have had in terms of being close and coming up short.
That lost to the Clippers.
Did you hear what I said? Similar to the Milwaukee Bucks experience.
And he had the 5th year, and he gave him the whole thing. But they really thought they had a chance at Carmelo Anthony all those years later. And you look at, I mean, that's my favorite expression on the show, I guess, is sliding doors.
Yeah, right.
But the sliding doors of Melo's career, of LeBron's career, I like this fit. I like that Melo sort of restarted his career, and he's become a really good three-point shooter. Career high 41% last year. That's what the Lakers need, and their cumulative ages are getting up. Like, he will be there and to make LeBron not feel old, I guess. Like, he's a little bit older than LeBron here. But look, I love the fact that they got Melo and Malik Monk, and Malik Monk on a minimum.
I was going to say, that is some wizardry, and also kind of speaks to a strategy we were talking about with Chris Bosh yesterday, that when he and LeBron and Dwayne Wade were down in Miami, they were able to be like, hey, come to Miami. Miami's fun. I know you won't be making that much money, but come and be with us. This is going to be a party. And it seems like they are starting to pick up a little bit of that momentum, too. What do you think, Zach?
Look, my big question about the Lakers now is the burden on defense for LeBron, who is still incredible defensively, and Anthony Davis, who we all know is a defensive player of the year candidate, is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because when you trawl the minimum bin for guys like this, they're older, their liabilities defensively. But Melo, to Ramona's point, has bought into a spot-up shooting role and been really, really good at it, and he's going to fit well next to LeBron. And Malik Monk, look, he's not going to get the headlines here because this is Carmelo Anthony. This is a top 10 all-time scorer, first ballot Hall of Famer, LeBron's friend from when they were teenagers. It's a huge deal that they're playing together. Malik Monk on the minimum is an incredible get for Rob Pelinka and the Lakers. He had a great year last year, and he's not just a shooter. He can get them moving in transition. He's really fast. We know the Lakers like to play in transition, doubly so with Russ now. They're getting rebounds and rampaging up the court, and he's a really good secondary playmaker. If you're not really good, but he's getting there. If you kick it to Malik Monk on the weak side against the closeout, he can attack it, make the next pass. I think this is a great say. It's not going to get the headlines, but this is a great signing for the Lakers.
Brooke, I'm curious what you think the on-court fit with Melo, with LeBron, AD, and just all these new pieces, because it's great to make wholesale changes to your roster if you think you're improving it. But as you see on that graphic we just showed, Perk, it's a lot of guys going out and a lot of new guys coming in, and you're going to need to sort of reset your culture just by definition of having an almost completely new group, except for 2 or 3 key guys.
Yeah, and I understand that, Rachel, and I would be concerned if it was a young group, but we're talking about a group of veterans, right? And a lot of these guys have been to the promised land. A lot of these guys have won championships. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, you're looking at even Trevor Ariza. But when you look at Carmelo Anthony and you look at Russell Westbrook, these guys are starving to win a championship. That's the only thing left for them to complete their legacy, is to win a ring. So sacrificing is not going to be difficult when it comes down to the Los Angeles Lakers. Look, we're watching Space Jam in real life right now. The Lakers have 5 Hall of Famers on their team. 5. Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwight Howard. And all those guys still could contribute at a very high level on the basketball court. Dwight Howard, to me, is going to be, again, the unsung hero in this situation, in my opinion, because his ability to still protect the basket. He knows how to play alongside Anthony Davis. He's still a lob threat at the basket, one of the most athletic bigs in the game today. So when you look at the other pieces, the shooting that they added around them, watch the hell out.
Yeah, I love this Dwight Howard sign. Re-signing? Yeah, I mean, they missed him last year. That was a calculated decision that they made to go for Marc Gasol in there and let Dwight go and trade JaVale. They missed it, and they missed it against Nikola Jokic. They missed it against DeAndre Ayton, who, by the way, is now a guy that you have to be thinking about how are you going to defend him. And so I think they just looked at what happened last year in the playoffs and said, we gotta get a defensive big who can take that. In those matchups against Phoenix, against Utah with Rudy Gobert, and against Denver with Jokic, and I think that's Dwight. He was great in those.
And I think the follow-up question to that is, the more they play Dwight, the more they're going to face the problem of Russ, LeBron, AD, Dwight on the floor at the same time. Is just not a lot of shooting around LeBron, and so that will be interesting to see what it does to their half-court offense. But this team does like to play big. And as much as we want to see Anthony Davis the center, they're going to buy minutes with Dwight at the 5. It's just a matter of how they balance out the rotation because their shooting has taken a hit. And for 15 years, we've seen LeBron plus shooting is unstoppable.
Yeah. And look, here are some shooting numbers of guys last season. Caldwell Pope, not going to be there anymore. Caruso, not going to be there anymore. McLemore, not signed right now. Kyle Kuzma, not going to be there anymore. So you've got a lot of these guns no longer at your disposal. And the age thing is real, guys. They've got 6 signed players right now, 7 if you count Russ, right, who is on his way. 6 of those 7 are age 32 or older. A chunk of them are over 35. I mean, there is no question this is an older team. And I do think you're right, Perk. Much like we were talking in the last segment about the Olympics, you have a bunch of vet guys. You put them together for long enough, they do eventually figure it out. And the idea of sacrificing to win a championship, that is more real the older you get. It is real that you stop worrying as much about your individual numbers. It is real that you can feel like, well, I've kind of done everything else already. So for a guy like Melo that's looking for his first ring, that is very meaningful in terms of what you are willing to do for the team. But we have been talking so much this past season about injuries. And yes, obviously all the game stuff